Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm grateful to be here. I hope you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment, despite whatever circumstances might be unveiling in your life. If there are any difficulties, remember that this too shall pass. I'm here for you. All of your feelings are valid, and if you want to share how you're feeling, I'd be delighted to hold space for that here. I like to set the intention for us to come together as fellow students of life, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Thank you, Rat, for your likes on the live. Welcome. First guests are arriving. Hello, Talita. Welcome, TK. Hello, dear Brent. I'd also love to start with an invocation of a certain Shanti mantra, a peace prayer from the Taittiriya and Katha Upanishad. Thank you, Talita, for your heart, mate. Radhe, Radhe. How are you, dear Tiki? Welcome, Disco Sapien and the Oracle Reads. Namaskaram, dear Dancing Aurora Borealis. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryang Garva Vahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our studies be vigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. Om. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Why don't we also start with a nice deep breath together? Welcome, Inevitable. Hello, how are you? Hello, dear Nick. Namaste, Enzo. Namaskaram, dearest G. Hello, Janet. Hello, Navia. Hello, Om. Beautiful, dear Om. Well said. And intuitive Pink Empress. Welcome, dear Nick. Radhe, Radhe, dearest Magdalene Priya. Hello, Noor. Back from your Interfaith Expo. Hello, all the way to Spain, dear Navia. Enzo, you got a question. Why do some yogis do nothing, and others want to spread love? There are two paths in yoga. The path of Nivrtti, which literally means going beyond thought. Vritti means thought force. Ni as a prefix means going beyond. So Nivrtti means going beyond your thoughts. The complement to that path is called Pravrtti. Pra as a prefix means going forward, into. So Pravrtti means going into your thoughts. Basically, the two paths are a path of nothingness or a path of everythingness. The yogis that do nothing are ultimately trying to achieve nirvikalpa samadhi, a state of union into supreme, ineffable nothingness. But the yogis that follow the path of Pravrtti are trying to attain savikalpa samadhi, a sense of union with everything. Although it leads to the same kind of bliss, ananda, they are different flavors. There's Brahmananda, bliss of Brahman, universal consciousness, ultimate reality, from Nirvikalpa Samadhi and the Nivrtti path. I know I'm using a lot of Sanskrit terms here in case you want to look them up. And the yogis that follow the path of Pravrtti into Savikalpa Samadhi, they attain Premananda, the bliss of divine love. Both are absolutely valid. I tend to prefer the path of Pravrtti, but the path of Nivrtti is equally valid. Well said, Noor. I'm happy to have you here and have this space to be a bit of an interfaith expo too. Namaste, dear Janet. Dear Nick, you're wondering if I can explain what my thing does. Depends what thing you're talking about. Lots of things in this universe. I've got these little manjira here, hand symbols. They sound nice. Welcome, Muse. Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. Dear Sapphire, you share you don't know what career is right for you. You feel lost in life. That's okay. I don't know what career is right for me either, and that's okay. I live life day by day, and I trust that I attract the opportunities that are meant for me. The universe will take care of me. Career is just one way of serving others. In the process, you may generate wealth and some financial security for you and your loved ones, but the goal should not be to generate wealth per se, but to serve others. That's what a job is to help other people, to do something that adds value in the world, and be taken care of in return. You don't have to pick anything in particular other than being a source of kindness and love for people in your life every day. And you will be taken care of, if not by others, by the divine, through your own compassion. Thank you, dear Ink Addict, for your heart meme. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I love how curious you are, dear Enzo. Never lose that. Welcome, dear Tatamamasi. Thank you for your quintet of roses. Hariom Tatsat. And thank you, Katasha, for your pair of roses. What a beautiful name you have. Has a nice ring to it. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Hello, dear Jay. Dear Adon, you share you have a friend that harshly judges himself because he's never had a job. What advice would I give them? I think it's admirable that they want to generate wealth for themselves and their loved ones and serve others. But there are many ways of being of value to this world, and one is just being your friend. And you can tell them how good of a job they fulfill at being your friend. Namaste, dear Anisek. May we all serve others with our loving kindness. It's our highest nature. Thank you, Katasha, for your confetti as well. Om Tham Namaschandraya Salutations to the moon. Good night, dear Chloe. Oh, you're very welcome, dear Adon. You can tell me if I can pronounce your name in the way you prefer. Muse, you share peepin'. People often undervalue the work of friendship and connection. It takes a lot of work, yeah. But one that, when done without expectations, is an effortless kind of work. Your name is actually Adonis. Oh, how beautiful. Oh, dear Chloe, you are here at the perfect time for the perfect duration. Dearest Zoe, you ask for any advice for locking into study when you really don't want to. Here, I'll block you, and then you'll have no choice but to study. No, just kidding. There's no way to want to do something that is an austerity. At least not when it comes to the instant gratification we'd get from doing other things. However, there is a pleasure you can get from studying and other austerities. That's by expanding your sense of time. When you just feel what you want to feel in this moment, it might become inevitable that we seek instant gratification. We want that hit of dopamine, which we don't get from studying. And the reason that is because studying doesn't benefit this moment immediately. It is something that you get the benefits from more long term. If you understand that a lot of your life is going to take place based on what you do now, then you can feel the satisfaction in knowing that what you're working towards is of value. You can get the pleasure of sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term pleasure, or instant gratification for success and fulfillment. And if you do that, you are living in the spirit of karma yoga, where the spirit of your actions are for the pursuit of unfolding possibilities that create a better future, regardless of what they may look like in this moment. Thank you, dear John Simon, for the heart me and rose you sent. Om Harim Namah Shakti Shivaya. You're very welcome, dearest Zoe. Tattvamasi. Thank you for your trio of roses. How'd you get them? Jaya Nisarga Datta Maharaj. I wish you very much. Does that make sense? I wish you very much. I wish you very well in your studies, dear Zoe. I know you shall succeed. Dear Enzo, you ask, when trying to be of service to others, it can feel like a waste of time and non-beneficial. Why? It can certainly feel that way if we expect something in return for it. That the only reason we're doing it is so that we benefit ourselves. But if that's the case, then we haven't recognized how we are immediately benefiting by the action of being of service to others. This continues the topic of karma yoga. The idea of karma yoga, the philosophy of action in the East, is to not expect any favorable outcome more than an unfavorable outcome, but simply strive to find meaning and purpose in the act itself, that you feel good about yourself not because of what you get in return, be it kind of social status or monetary payment or some kind of reward or avoiding some prejudice or judgment. That doesn't matter as much as it does for you to just be your highest nature, which is attending to the whole of life, which you are a part of, then it becomes the most satisfying thing in the very act itself. Thank you, Sonia, for your flowers and quartet of rosas. Jaya Sita Ram. And Katasha, thank you for your hand hearts. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Annika, hello. You ask, what's my favorite color scheme? You're working on a painting right now. A question for anyone. I love the whole rainbow. I'm a big fan of using all the colors. If you can find a way to get every color in there, that would make me very happy. Safir, you ask, what do I personally do to cheer myself up? I cheer others up because it makes me happiest to share that joy within me with others. And if I can't find that joy within me, then I bring it out and I see it reflected in each other's faces and smiles. Hello, dear Carol. Welcome, dear Macy. Thank you, Anazak, for your 10 roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Anakin, you ask, do I think what I do is feeding my ego? Absolutely. There are two paths in the spiritual dimension. There's the path of dissolving one's ego. That's called the path of Nivrtti, which we were talking about, which is to make it refined and refined until it's smaller and smaller, until it's nothing like just a single point, a zero-dimensional point. Have a sense of nothingness, no self, anatman it's called in Sanskrit. I prefer the path of Pravrtti, which is the equivalent but complementary path in which you actually let your ego grow. You give love to your body, your mind, but don't get stuck in feeling like you only have a duty to just serve this. Instead, make that ego more and more inclusive. Ensure that your sense of self expands to include everything in your life. Will it ever reach that infinite source which is our true consciousness? No, it cannot, but I hope it never does, because then the journey ends, and I have no intention of ending my journey anytime soon. I love the infinite expansion of the sense of self. Every day is a new learning opportunity to grow and accommodate a new perspective. I'd love to see it, dear Annika. Dearest Sonia, you shared tonight was very stressful. You stood up for yourself after years of abuse. Kriya changes lives. You should be proud of yourself, dear Sonia. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah. It's good of you to stand up for your body, your mind. It is our instrument of love for the world. If this body, if this mind doesn't feel loved, then how can we bring that love to other bodies and other minds? I'm so happy to hear that the yoga of Kriya has been so transformative for you. And thank you, dear Marcy, for your heart me. Om Som Suryaya Namah. Dearest Matthew, you ask, what do I think about the egg theory? I see the truth in it. There is just one life in this universe, a life that we share, a life that time does not truly touch, an infinite reality which cannot be seen in any one way in particular, so it rolls through the dimensions, unfurling its many forms, and that is what we are. Hello, dear Linda. That's right, dear Jay. I am wearing a mala. This is a Rudraksha mala, made up of seeds from the holy Rudraksha tree. Thank you, Jay, for your bubblegum. Hariom Tatsat. Dear Sapphire, you ask, at what age did I become spiritual? At what age did I gain a spirit, is your question. The better question is, at what age did spirit gain me in this body? Well, that would be 23 years ago. There is no taking of any path. There is only a realizing of the path that you are already on. Dear Whitney, you ask, how do you lovingly enforce a boundary with someone while will keep seeing but do not like? A brother-in-law that you'll have to keep seeing but you do not like. You can keep seeing them, but you don't have to engage with them. If you can be in the same room with them but not engage yourself, that's your choice. You don't have to ever say anything, do anything. You can just coexist, keep your peace to yourself. If they cross a boundary, you can withdraw yourself in some way. Boundaries should never be enforced by punishments, but only just a withdrawal of your presence. That presence doesn't have to be a physical one, but your own engagement. That if they are unable to hold space for you, then don't give yourself to fill that space. Respect your own space. Dearest Justin, you ask, how do you find yourself in the seat of self? You play the game of the seer and the seen. Understand that all that you see must be in some way distinct from you, because there must exist some space between you and what you see in order for you to do any seeing. Otherwise, how would light travel that distance? It's so simple that the mind has a hard time grasping it. It overcomplicates the idea. The fact that you see me on your phone screen is enough to tell you that you and I must have some distance from each other, and therefore there is a distinction in the form of yourself and I. If you follow that witnessing, therefore, inward, so to speak, you find yourself in the seat of Sakshi Bhava, the state of witnessing. Thank you, dear Usha Priyaji, for your hanging lights and your 31 roses. Om Haum Jom Namah Shivaya. Dear Sapphire, you ask, am I extroverted or introverted? My masculine nature is introverted. My feminine nature is extroverted, and I am 50-50. Thank you, Rahina, for your heartmate. Om Kang Jahnavyay Namah. Dear Mo, you ask, how can one help another person struggling to find peace? We make ourselves peaceful, and we reflect all the possibilities that exist within them. Nobody can give another person peace, but what we can do is refine ourselves to be such an appropriate mirror where our own peace reflects what's possible within them. How does one practically do that? By holding space for them. By making yourself not into an opponent to anyone, but only an energy that complements and harmonizes with theirs. You empathize, you understand what they go through. You share your own stories of similar events in your life to their difficulties and how you are able to traverse these adversities. As you hold space for your own peace and their emotions, they begin to react with each other extra chemically. Pardon my hiccup. Thank you, Rahina, for your heart me. Ram Ram. And dearest Gwendolyn Priya, thank you for your finger heart. And tiny tiny. Yippee! Dearest Catherine, you ask if I recommend any books. There is nothing written in any of the books in the world that is not already imprinted upon your heart. So if you take what is in your heart and bring it forth into the world, you will find all the wisdom that you were once looking for, having shone from a place within you. Hello, dear Talon. Dear Smile, you're wondering if I listen to pop or rap music. I listen to all of you, and you are music to my ears. And thank you, Kuz. I love your question, Noor. Who am I? Who are we, if not rays of light that have emanated from that source? Kuz, you ask, but what if you are trying to just be, but your body is stuck in tension? Then be with the tension. Be with the tension. Nothing in our moment doesn't have to be seen as something that takes us away from our being. Even if that thing is uncomfortable, be with the uncomfortability. Even if that thing is agitating, be with that agitation. Be with your own annoyance. Be with your irritation. Whatever you are feeling, be with that. Dear Jay, you ask, how can you find love for those you dislike? You can find love for those you dislike by realizing that we never dislike a person as a whole, but only parts of them. Maybe you find 99 parts about someone that you dislike. Heck, maybe you find 999 things you dislike about a person. But if there's even one thing you like about a person, let that be your dominant impression. Never dismiss the suffering of others that perhaps may be caused by the 999 things that you dislike about such a person. But when it comes to just your personal relationship with you and that person, if you can find even one thing astonishing, inspiring, admirable, even if it's in a dimension of life you're not particularly interested in, keep that in your heart. Hello, dear Internet Ranger. You heard me mention Ram Das before. Have I tried such a compound that he would often experiment with as well? If so, how was it? It was interesting, I guess. But nothing like the kinds of experiences you can have in meditation. It's like the full moon shining. In the middle of the night, it may be quite bright, but when the sun is out, you might not even notice that the moon's there. Such is why the story goes when Ram Das handed a whole tab of these things, or a whole sheet of tabs of these things to his guru, Neem Karoli Baba. His guru picked up the whole sheet instead of the one tab set aside and put the whole sheet in his mouth. And what happened? Oh, what happened was his guru put the blanket over his head and he started making weird sounds. Moving underneath, he'd go, oh, and then, just when Ram Das thought, my God, I've killed my guru, he flung the blanket over his head and went, poof, and then was back to normal. For it had not actually affected him. He was already in such a state. It did not bring him into a knowingness that wasn't already there already. Thank you, dear Ash. Dear Hufflepuff, you're wondering why your son is so angry. Well, is he allowed to be angry? Is there enough space for him to feel whatever he is feeling without judgment? Does he feel understood emotionally? Anakin, you ask, do I fear death? I do, but not as much as I fear not living my life. So I just live. Hello, hand fingers. Tattvamasi, you share a quote from Nisargadatta Maharaja. All appearance and disappearance presupposes a changeless background. Beautiful. Dear Livia, you feel so lost in this world. We are so little and are nothing. When we zoom out and we see the whole universe as it exists on cosmic scales, from planets to solar systems to galaxies to cosmic filaments, it seems like we are but little specks both in space and time. But know that at the quantum level, the wave-particle duality asserts that you are not made up of a bunch of particles that only exist here at this distinct place and time. No, your energy field pervades the entire universe. There is not a single place where your energy is not already touching. Then you must feel very big. In fact, you are bigger than the biggest thing. You are infinity itself. Dear Smile, you're wondering who and what are my favorite movies, TV shows? Whichever one my friends put on for me. Dear Mr. Riot, you ask, what if that thing wants to control you? You, as consciousness supreme, cannot be touched, cannot be seen, cannot be heard. Fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, even a surgeon's scalpel cannot pierce it. If you understand this to be your true nature, then how can anything get under your skin? Radhe Radhe, dearest Miananda. Sonia, you're wondering if I can tell you a small story of Bhavani. I don't know any stories of Bhavani. I thank you for giving me some homework to do. But I know that the Divine Feminine, she was always trying to prove to us to not keep your energies in one place in particular. To get up, to dance, to sing, have fun. It may be the path of the Divine Masculine to enter a kind of stillness, kind of nothingness. But it's the path of the Divine Feminine to become so engrossed in dance and song that your ecstasy keeps you from your stillness. A bliss so supreme that there is not a part of you that isn't moving. Welcome, little panda friend. Hello, dearest Ansuela Priya. Saphir, you ask, do I believe in true love? I only believe in true love. Nothing else exists. Dear Noor, you are wondering about Gilgamesh. That is a story I have yet to uncover myself. But through its allegory, I am sure, is a story we have already experienced, just in another language. Thank you, Michelle, my belle. Hello, Shelly Belly. Dear Noor, you wish you could pause your life around you and just read. Oh, all the literature in the world, it would take you thousands and thousands of lifetimes to read them all. Fortunately, every story ever told is all but the same truth, just expressed in infinitely many ways. I'm glad you like when I chant, dear Chris. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvareniham Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Hello, Nescole. Nice to have you here. Hello, Xacid. You're wondering if I could share some advice after getting broken up with? The most healing thing for me with every breakup I've experienced is to realize that if my love for them was really true, then it must have been agape and unconditional. And that means that my love for them shall remain even if they are no longer in my life in such a capacity. That I will silently be their supporter in my heart and let them live their life with trust that this decision is something that comes from a judgment that I once admired and perhaps fostered, that I take inspiration in their journey. This is the next step for them. I support them in that too. That is to say, if I truly love them, then I believe that their happiness will be found through all the decisions they make. And if that includes creating some space between us, then I must respect that too and believe in them as well. Dear Sizinska, you ask if I could talk about the process of letting go. You find it really hard to let go, especially of people. Yeah, I find it hard too. In fact, I've never actually successfully done it myself. Has it ever worked? Have we ever just went, alright, I'm gonna let go. That's better. No, it usually doesn't happen like that. We have a natural tendency to hold on. If you're not ready to let go, then don't. Trust that you will at the right time, at the right place. If it doesn't feel natural for you in this moment, then let go of the idea of letting go. That much you can do. We will always keep people in our heart. Our heart signs contracts that can never be voided. All we can do is continue to grow our heart to contain more and more things. Dear Catherine, you ask, how did I become so beautiful and knowledgeable? Well, I get my beauty from my very beautiful mother. I am sure. I get my knowledge from my very knowledgeable father. I am sure. Jazka, you are wondering about the religion in this space, I assume. All religions, equally, all at once. Dear Chris, you're wondering, who's my guru? You're my guru. Which philosophy do I follow? All of them. Thank you for being here, exhausted. Good night, dear Kuz. Letting go is a process. I like that, Adonis. Yeah, just don't think about letting go and it will happen naturally. Share Shelly Belly. Welcome, dear Jim. Dear Noor, you spent an hour learning about Shri Ramana Maharshi. I'm a very big fan of him. I'm sure you've heard the story by now of his enlightenment experience when he was but a teenager. Very beautiful story. That's powerful, Usha. Suffer as long as it's needed to let go. Yeah. Hello, dear Neon Jello Pack. Hello, everybody. What an amazing introduction to this live stream. Thank you all. We have yet to begin our first segment, which is to read from the 11th chapter of the Journey Home. If you don't mind, hello dear Skiels from Greenland. I would love to listen with you as we hear the story of an American Swami. This is the 11th chapter. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. Let's dive right into it. On a bus to Kabul, I squeezed in with my fellow passengers. 2 wooden benches extended across the length of the bus to provide seating. In the middle, dozens of chickens flapped their wings, scattering feathers in the air and clucking loudly. Roosters called out, flapping their wings and expanding their chests. Goats poked about for something to eat, while a few sleep, that's not a word. Well, it is when I'm feeling sleepy, but a few sheep clustered around their owner, bleating wildly. Bah! The animals brought with them swarming flies and other exotic insects. A sociable goat stared me right in the eyes, as if pleading for charity. Then, with great enthusiasm, he chewed on the cuff of my pants, which must have been delicious, as another goat soon joined him to chew the other cuff. A chicken then jumped onto my lap and pecked on my thighs. This portable barnyard was a daily affair for the passengers who stared at me and offered smiles. Perhaps they were experiencing a type of culture shock too, seeing a strange creature like me dressed in a grey, pinstripe jeans, my grey turtleneck, and long, wavy hair. The bus stopped, and all the human passengers poured out into the desert, where they laid down their prayer rugs and offered prayers towards the holy city of Mecca. Only the animals and I remained on the bus. I had once read that humans without a spiritual path are like two-legged animals. Though I had been exploring and learning about many different religions, I still felt I had no one clear path. While the devout Muslims prayed outside, I felt I was among my colleagues in the bus. Once the imperial capital of the Mughal Empire, Kabul was a beautiful city. High on a mountainous plateau surrounded by snow-covered peaks, I knew it was the capital and most important city of Afghanistan. Here I reunited with Jeff and Ramsey, my two dear friends. They had already been in Kabul for about a week and were eager to continue the journey down the famous Grand Trunk Road to India. We planned to travel across the Khyber Pass into Pakistan. Early one morning, we set out for the bus stand where Jeff bought our tickets. Before boarding, however, all passengers were required to present their documents to immigration officials who stood outside the bus. Jeff and Ramsey stood before me in line, and after passing through the formalities, they boarded the bus. But when my turn came, there was a stir of confusion. One official snatched my passport and dragged me into the immigration office. To my dismay, the bus driver revved the engine and roared off, taking my ticket with him. Jeff and Ramsey had carried it on the bus, not realizing I'd been left behind. Another immigration official, it turned out, had mistakenly written the wrong date for my departure. Realizing their mistake, they released me. Stranded alone in Kabul, I wondered how to proceed. It was unthinkable to hitchhike alone through the Khyber Pass, infamous as one of the most lawless lands on earth. I had heard frightening stories during my travels about this borderland between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Stories of foreboding cliffs and warlike tribes who accepted no law. Like the denizens of the Old West of America, they settled disputes with loaded rifles and shootouts, and accepted killing and banditry as a way on life. I heard stories of a tourist bus being stopped at gunpoint, passengers being robbed and sometimes killed, and how bus companies had to pay the tribal leaders to protect their buses from such violence. I did not know how true these stories were, but certainly this was no place to find out. What was I to do now? I had no money to purchase a bus ticket. Alone, I walked the streets of Kabul, wondering about my destiny. The day passed in this way. With the night came the freezing cold. I had no warm clothes and nowhere to go. The full moon was like a block of ice. Trembling, I sat down on a lonely roadside, closed my eyes in meditation, lifted my harmonica to my lips, and poured out a song from my heart. Some time later, when I opened my eyes, a shapely young woman stood in front of me, her dark blonde hair flying in the cold wind. She looked upon me with pity. "Aren't you freezing here in the middle of the night without proper clothing?" she asked. She shivered as she gazed at me with sparkling blue eyes, and I told her what had happened to me. "I'm from Holland," she answered tenderly, "but I have been living in Kabul for several years. You may come to my house and keep warm tonight." Grateful, I followed her. From the frigid street outside, she escorted me through a door into a warm, beautiful room. Bedecked with gold and green curtains, it contained a white sofa and a fine dining table with chairs. She welcomed me to sit on the sofa, which was very soft. This was nothing I had experienced since leaving my family home in Highland Park, which seemed like ages ago. The Dutch woman invited me to the dinner table, where she served warm bread with butter, baked vegetables, and chocolate cake for dessert. I considered how it might have been a hidden blessing that I'd missed the bus. After some casual discussion, she invited me to sleep. "You must be terribly tired after sitting in the cold for so long." She led me across the room where there were 2 beds. "Here's your bed. I'll sleep in my bedroom." Suddenly, from another room, a giant of a man appeared. My hostess introduced him. "This is my bodyguard. He's an Afghani warrior, obedient to me." I looked up upon this gargantuan figure standing before me. He was about 6'4", almost as tall as I am, with a body like a mountain, each limb bulging muscles like boulders. I'm just kidding, I'm not that tall. His long, oily hair was black as coal, and an unkempt beard covered his face. I sat down on my bed, and the Afghani warrior sat down on the other. Squinting, his pitch-black eyes pierced mine. He then stretched his fists above his head with a prolonged growling yawn, his body radiating with the stench of sweat. My hostess continued, "He is my protector. I have seen him crush a man's skull with one blow of his fist. You may sleep now." She crossed the room to an adjoining room. Before disappearing through a beaded curtain, she switched off the light. "I will go to my bedroom now." The Afghani warrior was my roommate, and oddly enough, I felt safe with him by my side. The house was so warm and comfortable that as I lay my weary body in bed, I felt fortunate. How would I have survived the freezing night if this friendly woman had not taken pity on me? Pulling up the soft blanket, I savored the experience as I drifted into sleep. Minutes later, I awoke to my hostess parting the beaded curtain between our rooms. She was wearing only a transparent silk nightgown. Incense burned and soft music played. She approached my bedside and spoke sweet words into my ear. "You are so young and good." Her eyes were glazed with passion. Slipping off her gown, she presented to me her naked body. And then wrapping her arms around me, she laid her perfumed body over mine. Bewildered, I struggled to focus on the purpose of my journey. "I'm sorry. I don't want this. Please let me sleep," I pleaded. Undaunted, she tried to arouse me in various ways. "Please leave me alone," was all I could say. Tormented, I lay there like a dead cold fish. In a frenzy of passion, she whispered in my ear, "If you don't satisfy my desire, my bodyguard will crush your skull. You can't escape." Scorned, she cried for his help. The warrior sprang from his bed, bounded across the room, and stood over us. "Submit! Submit or die," he growled. My mind was reeling. As my seductress continued her efforts to overcome me, I lay under her trembling. Meanwhile, the Afghani warrior towered over us. He yanked my hair and roared, "Submit or die! Submit or die!" The words were like bombs exploding in my head. Questions rushed through my mind. Was this a nightmare? Must I surrender to her or die? Why was this happening to me? In a flash, with all my strength, I heaved the woman off me, grabbed my bag and shoes, and raced to the door, leaving my sleeping bag behind. She screamed. The bodyguard roared and lunged to capture me, but I dodged him. With all my might, I bolted through that door and burst into the street. The warrior was close behind. Seething with wrath, he wailed. I ran without once turning back, terrorized by the thought of his mammoth fist crushing through my fragile skull. I ran and ran and ran. Somehow, I escaped. Once again, I was alone with nowhere to go, in the middle of the night. As I wandered the deserted streets of Kabul, I realized that the freezing cold night that I previously dreaded was now providing me shelter. The icy moon that had chilled me to the bone was radiating warmth that nourished my weary mind. Walking with no direction, I was free. Gazing into the stars, I contemplated on the powers of passion. Sex could be a gift of God, but when it becomes an obsession, it plunders all intelligence, and people are driven to abominable acts to satisfy their lust. When passion is frustrated, people lose all good sense. I thought about the fact that throughout history there had been saints in all traditions who raised beautiful families, utilizing sex as a divine offering. Then I began to wonder why, throughout the same history, many saints took the vow of celibacy. The more I pondered, the more I tried to answer my own question. Maybe they realized the charm of the opposite sex, or whomever they may be attracted to be a distraction from their exclusive dedication to God. Maybe they were determined to direct that powerful energy toward prayer and devotion. Maybe this was what I too was looking for. Certainly it would explain why I had turned my back on Irene in Italy. Love is the offering of the heart, I thought. Pure love must be selfless, without selfish motives. As the full moon rose higher over Kabul, casting rays on the mountains, a vow arose in my heart to remain celibate for the remainder of my life. Embraced by the bitter, cold wind, I prayed to God to help me to keep my commitment. As the sun rose above the panoramic mountains of Kabul, I hurried to the bus stand, wondering what the future would hold. To my relief, my friend Jeff had sent my ticket back with the returning bus driver. He included a little money as well. Before boarding the bus, I turned to look upon the city of Kabul one final time. On this mountainous plateau of Afghanistan, I had taken a significant step on my internal journey toward enlightenment, praying to accept a difficult vow that I was determined to follow. I felt deeply thankful. Through my window, steep cliffs rose in an arid land. On the slopes, poor farmers toiled to grow a few sparse crops. Clearly, the rugged desert mountains secluded these people of the Khyber Pass in their own world. The local people toted rifles on their shoulders, and some slung straps of bullets around their chests for protection. As the bus jounced along, we passed ammunition factories where primitive rifles were made available to all. At a distance, I saw long caravans of camels with cargo strapped to their backs, sauntering along the dusty paths. The bus jerked and rattled over potholes, straining forward through the Khyber Pass. As I peered out the window, I could picture Alexander the Great on his march to invade India in the 4th century BC, Genghis Khan's bloody Mongol invasions here in the 13th century, massive Mughal armies led by their emperors marching through to conquer and plunder the subcontinent, and British soldiers being slaughtered by the tribesmen. For generations, bloodshed and death had been daily affairs for the local Pashtun tribes. Although the struggle for survival took its toll on tribal members' faces, they appeared to also be stamped with a type of austere grace. remembering all the ghastly tales about them. I now felt happy to honor these people, albeit through my bus window. In the evening, the bus led us out in Peshawar, Pakistan. My curiosity led me to a tranquil old woman in a black veil sitting on the footpath. In front of her, she'd spread a piece of burlap cloth on which she displayed varieties of trinkets. I stepped closer to see what this grandmotherly soul was selling. Brass knuckles. She was selling brass knuckles. Studded with razor-sharp spikes designed to penetrate flesh and rip it apart on extraction, these weapons of cruelty were ornamented with semi-precious jewels. She directed me to press a hidden button on the brass knuckles, and when I did, whoosh, a blade shot out. My head reeled. The old woman insisted that I bargain with her, but I politely went on my way. India was only one country away now. I eagerly continued my travel overland to the ancient city of Lahore to receive my Indian visa. On the way, I met some kind people who extended themselves to make me feel at home in Pakistan, providing me meals and rides in trucks or buses. Early one morning, I waited outside of the Indian embassy in Lahore. Large hawks circled overhead in the clear sky. When the embassy doors finally opened, I entered it and timidly presented my passport to the official. When he stamped it, my heart rejoiced. I felt as if it were a visa to God's kingdom. India was a step away now. The land of yogis, lamas, and sages was waiting. That concludes the very provocative 11th chapter of the journey home. I thank you very much for listening with me. And I very much look forward to see how our author's travels continue through Pakistan and into India. And I invite reflection on anything that you may be interested in exploring with me. Namaste. That concludes our Shravana, portion of our Sangha dedicated to listening. Now our attention can return to anything in our hearts and minds, and I welcome all those who joined while we were reading too. Let's transition to Manana. Thank you, dear goddess, Triple Raven, for the ice cream cone you sent. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Thank you for always thanking me, dear Donzuela. Thank you, Gabriella, for your Heart Me and Team cheers. Om Som Somaya Namah. And Gina, thank you for your pair of roses. Hare Krishna. And Reina Priya, thank you for your quintet of roses. Om Khan Jahnavyay Namah. Alright, dear Tatvamasi, you ask, why does Rajas and Tamas seem to overpower Sattva usually? And why is it so easy to fall? It is said that Rajas empowers the mind. So if you are identified with the mind predominantly, then Rajas, the mode of passion, will rule you. It is said that Tamas empowers the body. So if you are identified with the body, then Tamas will rule you. If you are identified with your heart, then Sattva will rule you. And it's so easy to fall into the traps of Rajas and Tamas, therefore, because in our society it's so easy for us to get the impression that that's all there is to our life, is just this body and this mind. Thank you, Jocelyn, for your perfume. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Dear Neskale, you asked for thoughts on celibacy. Well, I'm glad you asked. I was hoping someone would. Celibacy is often translated from this word Brahmacharya in Sanskrit, which is the oldest idea, as far as I know, when it comes to restraining one's senses in certain ways. It's one of the 5 yamas, which is the first limb of yoga. Yama yoga, there's 5 yamas. They're necessary for society. In a functioning community, everyone should follow these 5 yamas. Ahimsa, least harm. Asteya, non-stealing. Sattva, truthfulness. Brahmacharya, which is often translated to celibacy. And aparigraha, which is non-hoarding of resources. Non-possessiveness. However, the literal translation of Brahmacharya is not celibacy, because you cannot have a functioning society with only celibacy. There would be no next generation. We all come from sexuality. But are we going to make it the goal of life? That would be a mistake. Brahmacharya literally translates to Brahma, which is from the root Brh, which means to expand. Brahma being the expansive one, and Charya meaning the way of. So Brahmacharya means the way to the all-expansive one. What does that mean? It means don't limit yourself in any dimension of life. Don't make sexuality your one-dimensional goal. Become multi-dimensional, expand in all directions. So perhaps a more accurate translation of Brahmacharya as a necessary goal for all of us to follow is just be open-minded and not repress it either, because that would be unhealthy in a different way. We should explore all dimensions freely without getting caught up in any one in particular. Non-objectification of others is perhaps my preferred translation in this context. Sweet dreams, dear Dalita. Thank you, dear Lulu Bella, for your pair of roses as well. Om Vasudevaya Namah. Dear Awaken Haven, you ask for any advice for someone struggling to go to sleep. Every night you struggle falling asleep, you need advice. Well, you wouldn't be called Awaken Haven otherwise, now would you? You'd be called a sleep haven. There are 3 states in existence. Our existence. There's the waking state, there's the deep sleep state, and then there's dream. In English, we often include dream into sleep, the word sleep. We say that while we're asleep, we dream. But in Vedanta, a philosophy stemming from the Vedas, early spiritual revelations from India, dream is not a form of sleep. Dream is a precursor to sleep. So if you try to go from waking into deep sleep, it'll be very difficult because you're trying to skip a stage of experience that sits in between them. Instead of falling into sleep, try to fall into dream. What does that mean? Well, sleep is a thoughtless state. trying to go from a thoughtful state of waking into a thoughtless state of deep sleep is going to be very difficult. You'll drive yourself crazy. All you'll be doing is just thinking about how much you're thinking and how much you shouldn't be thinking. Instead, trying to make your mind more dream-like than sleep-like. Start imagining various fantasy scenes. I like to imagine myself as an arrow that gets shot from a magical bow and flies throughout the world, seeing all sorts of different things. I let my imaginative mind take over. I'm not logically thinking, analyzing. I'm not even using words per se. I'm just visualizing, and I slip into dream, and later from dream into deep sleep. Goodbye, dear Jackie. Noor, you recommend sleep meditation or belly breaths to slow down your heart rate. I love that. That is a great technique for relaxation. Dear Moh, you ask, would I become a Brahmacharya one day? It reminds me of a story between Krishna and some of his devotees. See, Krishna had many romantic partners. And yet, Krishna is considered the greatest Brahmacharya. Why? A certain story illustrates that. One day his devotees were having some doubts about Krishna. They said, "Oh Lord, you speak so highly about the vow of Brahmacharya, yet you yourself have many romantic and intimate encounters." Krishna then went and sent his devotees on a quest. He said, "I want you to travel to this certain rishi who lives on the other side of the river." The devotees asked, "Shri Krishna, how are we going to pass that river? There is no boat to take us across, nor a bridge." Krishna simply said, "You say to the river, if Krishna is a Brahmacharya or Brahmachari, then you will let us pass." They said, "I don't think that's gonna work, Maharaj." Krishna just waved them off. So when the devotees reached the river, they sighed, shrugged, and said, "O river, if our Krishna is a Brahmachari, you will let us pass." And just like Moses parting the Red Sea, whoosh, the river parted for them, and they were able to walk across. There's a similar story that happened on the way back, but I'll keep it brief for now. Point of the story is, as long as you are keeping your energies in such a way that your sexuality is not the main feature of life, then you are a Brahmachari. Perhaps not in the way that most people understand it traditionally, but in the way that Krishna exemplified. And Krishna is seen as a very high form of the divine. If, however, your idea of sexuality is for the extraction of pleasure from another person, that you cannot be happy without it, or you have some sense of possessiveness over others, or your life energies are primarily directed towards it and nothing higher, then you are not a Brahmachari, because you are not expanding your sense of self to include other dimensions of life. Now, John James, you're wondering if I can explain multiple dimensions as it pertains to math. The mathematical definition of a dimension is simply an independent axis for you to explore, such that it could not be explored through any combination of the other axes. Like, consider a two-dimensional plane. In that plane you can go forward and backwards, left or right, and within that two-dimensional plane you can go anywhere with just combinations of forwards and backwards. You might say, there's other directions you can go diagonal. That is true, but going diagonal is just like going forward and left at the same time. So you are still traveling only along two dimensions, just in different combinations. But is there any combinations of forward and backwards and left and right that'll take you up? Is up some combination of forwards and backwards and left and right? Not in any strict mathematical sense, no. You have to introduce a third dimension in order to go up. Yeah, like a chess queen piece, exactly, Noor. These are typically understood spatially, but we don't have to stop at spatial dimensions. You can have temporal dimensions, like Einstein showed. You can also have many other kinds of dimensions. Like our sense of sight is about 5-dimensional. We have 2 dimensions of space and 3 dimensions of color. Consider your screen, for example. All of the sights on your screen can be described by 5 independent coordinates: the horizontal position of the pixel, the vertical position of the pixel, and the relative brightness in the red, green, and blue components of that pixel, the RGB. Through 3 chromatic dimensions and 2 spatial dimensions, you have the 5-dimensional experience of sight. And if you add depth in there, then that's a 6th dimension. So that's another example of a kind of dimension, a chromatic dimension, color space. But there's dimensions of human emotion, there's dimensions of concepts, there's dimensions of virtues. You can apply the concept very generally. Good night, dear Anna. May you have a most beautiful dream. Rest in peace and wake up refreshed, dear Iwake turtles. Good night, dear Sonia. You love thinking, dear Miyananda. Our mind is not truly our enemy, but a misunderstood friend. Much love, dear Awaken Haven. Tattvamasi, you ask, when you identify with the heart, does it become hard to fall to the mind? And do I know the story of Krishna and Sabari? I'm unfamiliar with the story of Krishna and Sabari, although I imagine if you told me, I could feel the timeless quality of it as if I already knew. Your first question, when you identify with the heart, does it become hard to fall to the mind? Well, the heart is the container, the superset of the mind. The mind can only go as far as the heart goes. Consider a pasture and a cow. A cow can only graze as far as the pasture goes. If the pasture is very small, the cow won't have enough food to eat. If the pasture is very big, The cow can roam far and free. Make your heart very big, just like the pasture, and your mind will become more and more free. Dear Noor, you share 3 has always been your favorite number, and when you saw the Om, you were surprised. It does have the shape of a 3 in it. There's actually a couple points that you've reminded me of. I just want to check something. I see. I wanted to show you something. Let me bring up my blackboard. Now you can see this. Let me lower myself. Although it is more of a coincidence that the number 3 appears in Om, there actually is a very rare spelling of it that uses the digit 3 in it. There are many different ways of writing the symbol Om in various languages. One of them looks like this. This over here, that is actually a 3 from the Devanagari numerals. The reason is, it's written like this to remind us that the sound on the left here should be 3 lengths in duration. The reason it's important to specify that is because most vowels in Sanskrit are either of 1 duration or 2. And if we didn't specify this, it would be assumed that the sound would be 2 durations in length. So it's often written like this in, for example, Vedic scripture to remind us that it's 3 lengths. And why is that? Because the sound itself is said to represent 3 things. As there are 3 components to the sound. There's the which represents creation. There's the U, which represents sustenance and preservation. And finally, there's the sound at the end, which doesn't exist on its own, so I'll have to just pretend like there's a character here. It's called the Anuswara, which represents finality and destruction. This is the trinity of material existence: creation, preservation, and destruction. Dear Miyananda, you ask, how many lifetimes do I think I've lived? We can calculate that, you want to go through the calculations together? It won't take long.
My eyes so bright.
All right. So let's get an upper bound. Let's say T represents total lives. Well, we can get let's get a lower bound actually. We'll say that T must be at least the age of the soul divided by my longest life, the longest realistic life. So S equals age of soul, L equals a reasonable estimate for longest life, right? So let's say that, you know, in a good life you live like 100 years, right? Or you know what? Maybe I could forget that there's some lifetime that's like 1 billion years. Okay? Maybe I could live as a star for a few billion. Let's just put it at, why don't we say the age of the universe, perhaps? 13.7 billion years. 13.7 billion years. Right? That's 13.7 times 10 to the 9 years. Alright, now that we got that number done, we got L, we just need to solve for S. Now what's the age of the soul? Well, it's easy. A soul must be infinite, because it is that which perceives all of creation, preservation, and destruction. So it mustn't have a beginning, as that would imply a beginning of the source from which it is a part of, the infinite. So this means that the total number of lives must be greater than infinity over 13.7 times 10 to the 9. Well, infinity divided by any number that's bigger than 0 and less than infinity is infinity. So actually, this must be a greater than or equal to relationship. There you go. Now that applies to me as it applies to all of you. You have no first life. Therefore, you must have lived infinite lives. And if that doesn't make sense, consider the example of counting backwards from 0. You count backwards into -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, etc. Will you ever reach the first negative number from which all of the other negative numbers have come up to this point? No. You can count backwards forever just as you can count forwards forever. Infinite past lives, infinite future lives. I like that inevitable. It's funny how when we are consciousness, we want to experience being matter, and now that we are matter, we want to become consciousness. The dance of Pravrtti and Purusha. wishing to become each other. Miananda, you can't believe you're starting to like math. Oh, good. Don Suela, you share, your mind tells you that sounds exhausting. Well, may I remind you of the story of the clockmaker and his clock. Or may I remind you of what it's like to be a child. Can you ever get tired of having fun? No, it's always 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Hello, dear Vavi. You share, you had a dream that you were sharing Smarties with the Pope. I love that. I'm glad you could share a sweetness with him. Hello, Sun Traveler. What's the story of the clock, asks Anna. I'll tell you. There was once a clockmaker who was so proficient in his art that you could say he breathed a certain life into his creations. One day, while fitting the final cog into the clockwork of his most recent creation, the clock let out what sounded like an audible sigh. Mr. Clockmaker was taken aback. He said, "Oh, clock, did I just hear you sigh?" The clock said, "Yep." "Why did you sigh, Mr. Clock?" Clock said, "I was just thinking about how well you made me." "Well, that doesn't sound like a bad thing." "Yeah, but I'm thinking about all the time that I'll have to keep track of from now until forever. All of the tick-tocks I'll have to do." The clockmaker was both flattered and empathetic, and knew just what to say. The clockmaker said, "Mr. Clock, the reason I have made you so precise is so that you never have to keep track of another time but now. And you do so with such a perfection that all you ever have to worry about is just the next tick-tock, tick-tock. Can you do that?" And that's when the clockmaker heard the clock breathe out another sigh. This time, not a sigh of exhaustion, but a sigh of relief. That's right, dear Jim. Like a heartbeat. Dear Ma, you ask, is the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna an analogy for Jivatma and Paramatma? Yes. Very good. In fact, Krishna himself says so. At one point, he even takes Arjuna off guard. Krishna had been asked, "Who are you, really?" by Arjuna. I wonder if I could find exactly where that is. I kind of doubt I could find it on such short notice, but I think it's like the 10th chapter or around there. I think I found the chapter. Just trying to find where Krishna says. It's in the 10th chapter. I know I'm in the right chapter. Anyway, somewhere in that chapter, while Krishna is enumerating all of the things that he is, he says, I am you, Arjuna, and then he continues reading or enumerating other things. And I'd love to be Arjuna in that moment, listening to Krishna, form of the divine before him, just say, I am you, Arjuna, and then continue saying I am this, I am that. Arjuna's listening like, wait, what was that? Go back if you want. What, me? But you can see it on the cover of this version of the Bhagavad Gita. Here we have the 5 horses representing the 5 Jnanendriyas, the 5 senses being held by the reins, which are the mind, held by Krishna, which is Paramatma, and Arjuna, which is Jivatma, and the chariot is the body, and the field, Kurukshetra, is the Vishayas, the experiences of the senses. Dear JQN, you share that you are going through a breakup with your girlfriend. Do I have any wise words to get through it? Look deeply within what you love about your girlfriend and realize that everything that you love about them you can find within yourself. And the most attractive thing you can do is honor that love by now bringing it to yourself. Whatever she loved, may you continue to love. Whatever virtues she exemplified, may you become a role model in such things too. Let her be an impression on the face of your life. And you will carry that relationship with you wherever you go, within you. Dear Annika, you asked, how does one deal with hallucinations? This is not something that I've experienced personally in this life, but I can share from people in my life who have, that it's very helpful to not stigmatize those who do experience such things. If someone does have a perception of reality that those around them do not, we can hold space for that too. Be curious about it. Wonder what it's like to live through their eyes too. If the perceptions of that person are harmful in any way, that they lead one into a sense of fear or isolation, then it's important to affirm them. Guide their awareness to something positive and wonderful. I believe that what you see is what you believe. I've seen that. And therefore, if we can direct our sight to positive forces for good and love, welfare, then hopefully that impression sinks in deeper as well. Dear Annika, you've been seeing things that aren't there for your whole life, and it's scary sometimes. I would be careful with the words saying things that aren't there, because to you they are there. To others they may not be, but that doesn't invalidate your experience. We are always seeing both two stories at once. There's the story of what takes place objectively, but then there's the story that we cast over top of it within our mind, and that's very real too. You are interfacing directly with your subconscious, and I think in many ways that's very beautiful. If you can take great care of your subconscious, then the things that you cast onto the story of the world will complement your inner world, and vice versa. Continue to surround yourself with positive people and places and things that value you, provide you with a diverse assortment of perspectives. Long ago, we used to see people like you as seers and sages and look up to you. That is, if you can create a healthy relationship with such things, which does take a lot of work, self-compassion, and support from the people around you. Dear Marlon, you're wondering if I've heard about channeling. Well, of course. That's all we ever do. Channel from our experiences of life we've had thus far. We are the ultimate combinators. None of us can create anything new that isn't already there within our experience. We only draw from it in different ratios. There was a key maker in the Matrix, dear Tatvamasi. That's what you're referring to. Just by crafting a key in a certain way, that changes what's on the other side of the door. And thank you, dear Gina, for your rose. Om Namah Shivaya. Dear George, you share you're on a sobriety journey, free from all substances. Does it get easier? Every day, my friend. Dear Annika, you are scared of looking like a crazy person sometimes. I understand. The best warrant against insanity is kindness. It doesn't matter how the nature of your mind operates, as long as you have kindness. That's all we really look out for in our society. We can have all sorts of interesting personalities in our life. If they are kind, then we welcome them. It's only if a person is harmful to themselves or others do we stigmatize or judge them. If you are kind to yourself and others, everything else is just a wonderful, unique thing about you that makes you special. Marlon, you wonder about people channeling spirit guides and other entities like Thor and Thoth and such. You can channel anything. You can even channel a pet worm that you had as a child. Whatever impression that you got from a being, you can tap into that. And it is as accurate and representative as you are familiar with that being. So the more familiar you are with a being, the more authentic your channeling becomes. Like when someone wonders what would their mother do, or what would their mother tell them to do in a certain situation. What would my mother say about this? You can almost hear your mother's voice sometimes saying, don't do this, or you should do this, sweetie, or honey, or whatever. That's channeling. Annika, you share, it feels like everyone else is living in a different dimension than you. I imagine that can sound very isolating. But I feel you. I see you. I hear you. You are perceptive to the very same reality we all experience, but layers of it that the rest of us can only begin to imagine. That's right, dear Marlon. Like how you said previously, what would Yam do? You can channel me too if you really want to. Thank you, Dove Darker, for your heart meme. Tattvamasi, you share that you feel the heart-to-mind path is harder than mind-to-heart. What is that line in the Nasadya Sukta? Those who can see beyond by putting their mind and heart together found the binding link of the existent in the non-existent existing in the existent. From the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda, 129th pada, 4th Urch. Much love, dear Annika. I love to see all the support for you. Thank you, dear Elevate. I have a question of the day for all of you, if you're interested in exploring it with me. Today I wonder, what makes an action truly selfless? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for liking the live, dear Ryan. Dear Reina Priya Ji, thank you for your friendship necklace. Om Namo Dakshinamurtaye Namah. What makes an action truly selfless? Elevate, you share truly selfless is doing without identification. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. Dear Mo, you share if you do it without expecting anything in return and with love for the other. Yeah. I love that. Dear Gwendolyn Priya, you share if one is not attached to the outcome, but wants benefit only for the other. Sadhu. Well said. Drea, you share doing something just to do it. The spirit of karma yoga. Nor you share regardless of how you feel. It's for the happiness of another, and no one knows it was you. In the anonymity, indeed. Seva. Dear Marlon, you share when we do something for others without expecting anything in return. Yeah, seems like you're all on the same page. I love it. Happy to hear that. Annika, you think it's when you do something for someone and you don't feel the need to brag about it. Well said, yes. Chris, you share, give a time to be kind and excellent to each other. Be excellent to each other. I love that. Crossfires, you share, you read once, if you plant a tree and understand you may never be able to sit in its shade. What a poetic explanation. Indeed. Adan, you share, when you perform an action that benefits another without you knowing its impact. Just planting the seed with faith that it will grow. Dear dancing aurora borealis, you share when you do something with agape love, unconditional. Well said, dear Noor. It's the golden rule of all religions that we all share, that we want the best for all. Do unto others what we would like them to do unto ourselves. Silent, impactful service. I really appreciate these answers thus far. There's such a unity in the diversity. Karin, you share when it is pure and comes from the heart. Yes. Welcome, Flower Bomb. Want for others what you would want for ourselves. Yeah. Hello, dear David. Don Suela, you share when you do something for another quietly, with loving kindness behind it. I like that, quietly. Miyananda, you share when every moment is lived in selfless devotion and all actions are done for the name of God. Most powerful thing you can do. Most purposeful thing you can do. Dedicate that action to the inspiration of existence. Dear Zaya, if I can pronounce your name in a better way, let me know. You ask, is it still a selfless act if you do it based on your own moral/ethical code? Isn't it still for you? Well, that's the funny thing about the self, is that when we understand that the self in me is non-different than the self in you, being happy about taking care of another is a happiness that we personally feel in our individual self as a reflection of the joy given from the universal self. So in a way, selfishness can be selfless, and selflessness can be selfish. And besides, our own moral and ethical code, does that really come from just this? Or does it come from being a part of all of that life? all around us. Hello, sweet Amanda. Amanda, I called you Amanda. Hello, sweet Melinda. My apologies. I know your name. I can read it. You're very welcome, dear Zaya. Thank you for your question. Dear Lord B, you are wondering what this music is. This music is Krishna's flute. I believe it's performed by the Isha Foundation. Dear Shakira, you add to our question of the day, when you prioritize others' needs before your own desires. Well said. Wow, that was very precise. I like that. Thank you. Thank you everyone for exploring this question together. I'll pause it there for now. If you still have one in the chamber, an answer that is, you're welcome to shoot. Thank you, Desiree, for your likes. Dearest Brandon, you ask, what's my best advice for settling anxiety? Let the anxiety settle into you, and let yourself settle into the anxiety. Instead of feeling like there's something that's latched onto you that you're trying to separate, become one. See the anxiety not as your enemy, but a friend. Just like two old friends meeting each other, you might pretend to have a little tussle. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Can't believe there's someone like you around these parts. Hearing these words from your mouth, who do you think you are? And then it's a, hey, come here, brother. Then you hug. Consider your anxiety as a playful kind of experience. It's not actually taking you from life. It's a friend, it's just poking you. See if you'll react. Reach out your arms for a hug and the play's over. And you go, you got me. You got me, anxiety. Alright, bring it in, bring it in. Good night, dear Noor. Salam alaikum. May you have a wonderful sleep. Yes, well said, Shakira. Befriending your anxiety is great. Like, buddy, thanks for the tip. Dear Troy, you ask, what is my favorite mantra? Oh, I have a hard time choosing just one. I really like the sounds of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra a lot. It goes like this. Ham Jom Sa Bhuvaswaham Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushdivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanam Mrityormukshya Mamritat Swaham Bhuvaham Bhuham Saha Jom Ham Om. It means something like salutations to the three-eyed one, the one with their third eye open. the increaser of nourishment, whose fame is fragrant. May you separate us from our mortality like that of a cucumber from its stalk, but not from our immortality. As such, I often call it the cucumber mantra. Cucumber. Dearest Gwendolyn Priya, you share, you tell your anxiety. Thank you for your service. You are safe. Here's a cookie. You can relax now. I love that. I know a lot of us go through anxiety, myself included. Always happy to share some tips. But I would love to read from another section of... Wait for it. Wait for it. Ruminations. Let's read from the Sufi mystic himself, Rumi. Let's see where we left off. Here we are in Ghazals. This poem's called Banners of Praise. Let's dive right into it. Our fasting is over. It's the feast day of spring. O dearest guest, welcome. Sorrow be gone. All praise be to God. O love once forsaken, abandoned heart be forgotten now. Your beloved has arrived and will forever remain. All praise be to God. Parting is forever parted. Separation is severed at last. Union is united with no more delay. All praise be to God. Flight has flown and exile's pain is banished. Distance is now distant. Our nest is filled with joy. All praise be to God. The moon is in the heavens, the rose in the heart, in love's garden, the king in his palace, proud banners show forth. All praise be to God. Life stirs in the root hair, fluid sap spreads in each tiny leaf, green buds on the branches crown his dominion. All praise be to God. Let the despised enemy come, for he'll meet our defender. We'll challenge his approach, for now in safety we say, all praise be to God. Flood me completely with the fire of love's burning, for now I can bear it and not burn away. All praise be to God. For now in certainty my soul is free, and all of earth's sadness has dissolved in earth's clay. All praise be to God. O chalice overflowing, poured out from these thirsty worlds, we thank you, we bless you, and drink while we pray. All praise be to God. The world lay parched for so long, an open desert, until the dew glistened and your breath came on the wings of morning. All praise be to God. As we waited, we were longing for spring's sun to renew this life of ours. Today, Jalaluddin's warm breath arrived from the east. All praise be to God. Thank you for listening. That was Banners of Praise by Rumi. May we embrace divine love fully, transmute fire into gentle calm, unite with nature's sacred pulse, drink deeply from praise, and let our gratitude heal all wounds. Now with that, I would like to transition to the final segment of our Sangha, and that is Nididhyasana. In this section, we come to a close in meditation, if you're interested in joining. Thank you for listening, dear Anazak. And Crossfires. Thank you, Anazak, for your friendship necklace too. Kamalyar Mahakalikai Namaha. So glad to have our Shri Hasya Chitrakara here. Isn't that right, Bubbles G? Thank you for filling this space with beauty, dear Rhiannon. Pleased to have you here for such a duration, dear Adonis. Trying out all the ways, which sounds great. Which sounds the best? Adonis. Hello, dear Lex. Thank you for doing that, dear Hybrid Gem. Yes. Can I say the name, dear Bubbles? Shri Hasya Chitrakara, which in Sanskrit means the venerable meme maker. Hasya means humor. Chitra means image. So Hasya Chitra means humorous image. What's a humorous image? It's a meme. Kara means maker. So Hasya Chitrakara means meme maker. Bubbles had produced an excellent pair of memes in our Telegram group. So I had to entitle him with Shri Hasya Chitrakara. Hello, dear Brandon. Nice to have you here. I'm grateful for your presence. How are you feeling? Dearest Greg RG, you have sung the Kali mantra from yesterday a lot. It has a great rhythm and tune to it, doesn't it? You may choose to accept it, dearest Bubbles. I still remember that live stream in when you had entitled me Swami Yamananda. Namaste, dear spiritual vibes. I'm doing well, dear Mads. How are you feeling? Yes, I send you friendly love, dear Karen. Knowing that all shall work out if you keep your spirits high, knowing that you cannot be dragged down by the waves crashing in life. Things have been amazing, dear Brandon. The right track now over your addictions. Been clean for 5 months now. Hallelujah! I'm grateful to hear that. Very grateful. Thank you for the 94 roses you sent too. One for each of us here. Om Sadhyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadhyo Jataya Vai Namo Namah Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavasva Maham Bhavod Bhavaya Namah. Thank you for your quintet of roses, dear Magdalene Priya. I give you a silent prayer. Thank you, dear Rhiannon Clark. The music that you are adds to the healing of this space. Hybrid Jen, you share a couple days ago, you realized you want to be the sign of someone's prayer. That is a powerful and lovely thing to realize. Oh, you're funnies. You're funnies. You're funny. Dear Hasya Chitrakara. Now, tonight I would like to end with a meditation, as per usual. This meditation will be based around self-compassion. So if you want to meditate with me on the subject of self-compassion, I would love to sit with you. Or if you find yourself moving, you don't have to sit. Whatever feels right for you to bring your attention to the flow of these words and the meditation that follows. Let's bring ourselves first to our breath, filling our being up with rejuvenating fresh air, and releasing any limiting beliefs. One more time, embracing the infinite possibilities of the future. In the present, letting go of the past. Offering our inhale to take the pain of the world, and in our exhale, giving love into this universe, transforming it so. We are love itself. Keep breathing, by the way. Just like that. As love itself, we have a duty to be compassionate and bring that compassion to all parts of the world. And you know what's funny? I'll tell you. We often forget that our body and mind are part of the world. We have a duty to the whole world. Our world would not be whole without our body and our mind. Isn't that so? If we have love to give to all bodies and minds, it first starts with this body and this mind, doesn't it? And what a most incredible body and mind to give that love to. Because you can make this body and mind into the most receptive form of that love. It just depends from where you're speaking from. When we're speaking from the body and mind, we put it in another way. We put it as being receptive to the love from the divine. Speaking from the sense of individual self, we create a temple for the divine to live within us. But speaking from the point of view as the divine, we say, we are here to bring that love into our body and mind, to fill it up. There is that duality between body-mind and spirit-soul. As body-mind, we become receptive to divine love. As spirit-soul, we give that love to all that is receptive, including body-mind and the rest of the world. Question: is it selfish to take care of your body, your mind? Follow-up question: would it be selfish not to take care of your body and mind? Because then, what instrument do you have to take care of other bodies and minds? Question: is it selfish to bring love to this body, this mind? Follow-up question: is it selfish to not show others how to take care of their own bodies and minds by taking care of your body and mind? So you see, as divine love, our body and mind is not only part of that world which we serve, not only our instrument to bring that service to other parts of the world, but also a stage for us to role model self-compassion. In this way, one of the most selfless things you can do is see your body and mind as deserving of love, so that you can mirror just how deserving of love all other bodies and minds that make up this world are. It is like the complement to the golden rule. Treat others how you would want to be treated, but treat yourself how you want others to be treated. If you know that your goal here in life is to bring happiness, joy, peace, and welfare to others, then do unto yourself what you would wish to do unto others. Treat your body and your mind as your own beloved, as if you were taking care of the whole world. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. Empower yourself with good food, good thoughts. Good thoughts means empowering the divinity within you. Nobody can predict the future. That's okay. You don't have to. You take care of what exists in this present moment. The future take care of itself for you. If you want an adult to feel loved, love the child in the adult. If you want the child to feel loved, love the adult in the child. You are divinely protected. You are free to express yourself in whatever makes sense for you. Trust that your energy will make its way to where it needs to go, regardless. Your imperfections are what make you beautiful. You have never been at fault for the suffering that has been in your life. You have always been worthy and deserving of your own self-forgiveness. There's nothing you need to do to be a better version of the person you already are in this moment. You are constantly being refreshed by new ideas, and any one of them can be a valid expression of who you are. Your voice is heard even in your silence, and your silence is heard even in your voice. It is not your fault to have gone through any sort of adverse circumstances. You are a wonderful human being. That's true no matter what way we express ourselves. Within you is a truth that's always been there. Within you is a truth that's always been there. Within you is a truth that's always been there. You are always held together by your own conscious awareness. Everything you do makes the world a better place. I see how much you care about yourself. There's so much love within you. You are a gift to this universe. Take 3 conscious breaths with me, and then we will conclude our meditation. Number 1, inhale, exhale. Number 2, inhale, exhale. And number 3, inhale, Exhale. There you go. You finished the meditation. Are you proud of yourself? You should be. That concludes our Nididhyasana. And with it, our Sangha for tonight. But thank you all for joining. Thank you, Inevitable, for the trio of roses you sent. Om Kali Maha Kali Kali Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kari Devi Narayani Namostute. You're very welcome, dear. Dancing Aurora Borealis. Tattvamasi, you ask if prana is part of the subtle body. Yes. Yes, it is. Dear Karin, thank you for your hand hearts. Om Vamadevaya Namo Jeshtaya Namah Shrishtaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kalaya Namah Kalevekaranaya Namo Balaya Namo Balevekaranaya Namo Balapramatanaya Namah Sarva Bhuta Damanaya Namo Manomanaya Namaha. Tattvamasi, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Agorebhyo Tagorebhyo Agora Gore Tarebhya Sarvatha Sharva Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhya. Viber Zero, thank you for your Heart Me and Team bracelet. Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. And Hare Krishna. And Jan Deeg, I see you both received a subscription from Dancing Aurora. Thank you for both being karmically receptive to it, and for Dancing Aurora Borealis for sending you both a subscription. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Brahma Dipati Brahmano Dhipatir Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sa Eva Sada Shiva Om. Thank you for adding in your own grace, dear Gregorji. You really add something special to the space, I hope you know. Your absence was dearly missed, but trusted that you are on a journey inwards and outwards. And I have much love for you, my friend. I hope the other Sangis are able to properly articulate just how extra special you give this space, kind of vibration. So happy to have you. Thank you, dear Melinda. Thank you, dear Gwendolyn Priya, for your paper crane. Om Imaya Shakdaye Namah. Dear Tan Hao Yu, thank you for your heartbeat. Om Am Namah Parashakdaye Namah. To our dear gardening Gregorji, indeed. So much love in chat. I hope the viewers from the future that are just watching the recording can feel it. Speaking of which, this live stream will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives, as well as the meditation and the reading and the show and tells when we do them. They're all there in their own playlists. I hope you take advantage of that if you want. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace. And if there's anything I can do to make this space more inclusive for you all next time, let me know. Keep me humble. Hold me accountable. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Mamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. Om. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Nice to have you here, dear Radz Radi. I can tell that the spirit of adventure is upon you, and soon you will be taken to a place you've never been before, and yet it will feel more familiar than everywhere you've already been. Well, you're ahead of the curve then. In 15 minutes will be the birthday for Sky Guardian, someone who doesn't want you to know that it's his birthday, on the 4th of February. For those that know of Sky Guardian as one of the greatest contributors to our space, please send him your best birthday wishes. It is his birthday wish to receive moksha, or akshardham, highest abode, ultimate enlightenment. If you could pass on how much you feel that he is absolutely going to receive such blessings, then that would make me happy. Now, without further ado, may you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, your morning, your evening, your night, whatever time it is for you in the world. May you have a wonderful rest of your present moment.